So even though that it is linked to that, it is linked to support of Hitler and the
LGBTQ flag is linked to HIV.
Okay.
That's how, I mean, people see it. People see it as like, oh, wow, AIDS, right? They see the rainbow flag. I think a lot of people think AIDS.
Well, as always, Andrew was correct. When I think of the gay flag, I do think of AIDS, maybe throw in some monkeypox in there and a lot of degeneracy and sin. But oh my gosh, this is a fun video, guys. Andrew Wilson just nukes this stupid feminist live on the Whatever podcast. Let's just get straight into it.
Well, right is, something, it's actually, I think, pretty vague in our legal language. But
yeah, so
a civil right is something like a human right that most people would call.
So like you have a right to put that flag up. Okay,
no,
great.
No.
I have a right to put that flag up too.
Okay, see, that's where the confusion is. So I'm talking about when I say, government entities have the right to put up like pride flags. The pride flag is the symbol of the civil rights of gay people to get married, own property, not be, have their house raided while they're having sex or something like that.
Well, okay. That's an assertion. So let's start with this. So you just making the claim like, it is true that this flag represents this. That's great. It represents that to this group of people. I would make the same argument with the Confederate flag. Same exact argument. That's great that it represents a negative thing towards this group of people, but it represents a positive thing towards this group of people. It would be the same thing with the LGBTQ flag. It'd be the same argument both ways.
No, look, the problem here is that the condition that I gave for, it being fine for them to use this form of free speech is the fact that it represents the civil right of that group of people. But the flag, the Confederate flag, doesn't represent the civil rights of who?
It would represent the civil rights of any people who wanted to see consistency so that they can have their flag up if they so chose. That would still be a civil right.
That isn't, maybe there's some vagueness on the civil rights thing, but I don't think that you think that, putting a flag up wherever you want on whatever property you want is a civil right. You don't.
Listen, this is what she thinks is a right. Basically, just whatever she thinks is correct and morally correct in her personal opinion. And obviously, it's so bad in society. Gay people deserve a flag. So yeah, they can have their flag. But nope, you people that want to hang your Confederate flags up in like Texas and all these more southern states, bad because I disagree with it. It's so stupid. But what else do you expect? These stupid bitches. Am I right? Or am I exactly correct? By the way, guys, please subscribe, like, if anything, like the video. I really do care about that. And leave your thoughts down below as always, and we'll get right back to it.
I believe that, right?
I think that if you were going to be consistent with your view, you would need to believe that.
That's not, okay, this isn't answering my question.
Like, hey bitch, do you believe in, I don't know, logic at all? Can you put yourself in someone else's shoes and apply the same logic? Obviously not. Obviously not. I swear, women are allergic to logic and self-reflection. It's a serious epidemic, for real.
You don't think that it is a civil right to display?
I think it's a civil right if you put up a gay flag on government buildings. Well, I'm trying to answer the question because you said I wasn't answering it. If you put it up on a government,
re-ask it for you to
if you
answer
put
it.
it up on a government, you didn't ask me a question.
I was in the middle of asking you the question.
You said I'm not getting the answer, so I was just giving you the answer.
So look, the question was, do you think that it's a civil right to see your flag equally displayed? Because that was what you started to say.
No, I think that it would be equally consistent to say if you can have an LGBTQ flag flying on some state building and that's constitutional, then you'd have to say the same thing about a Confederate flag.
Exactly. Apply the same logic. That's like the whole idea of free speech in America, too. A very core principle that this amazing, or what used to be an amazing nation, was founded upon. Free speech isn't just speech you agree with. It includes offensive and hateful speech. And honestly, my favorite type of speech is hate speech. That's what I like to engage in. And let me know if you agree. Comment hate speech for the algorithm.
That the argument was from the fact that that flag represented the civil rights of that
I mean,
group.
that's nice. What I'm telling you is that that's an assertion.
So does AIDS.
Like, demonstrate the assertion.
That's an assertion based off of the Supreme Court historically ruling it that way. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not making I can make a moral claim, and we can talk about like why people shouldn't, because I think, there might be like violence ensued by one versus the other, et cetera. But
okay, so why should you be able to have the gay flag up but not the Confederate flag?
Because I think that one represents the civil rights of a group, whereas the other one doesn't. One is more likely to incite violence.
See, it's whatever she thinks is morally wrong versus morally correct. It's all based on her subjective, stupid opinion.
I don't think that
Do
the
you
pride
think that
flag thing up is more
do you
likely to
think
incite violence.
heritage is part of civil rights?
I think that do I think heritage is part of civil rights?
Yeah. When you're talking about the historical use of the LGBTQ flag, for instance, this is going to have some type of like historical meaning to the people in which that flag represents, right?
Right.
Okay, isn't the Confederate flag going to have the exact same thing? It's going to have some kind of historical meaning when it comes to family lineage for people who live in the South, for people who, they had ancestors who fought in this war, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be part of their heritage and history. So don't you think that that would have specific meaning to them as well?
Right, but there might, like I said, be overriding considerations, like if hanging that flag caused violence or something
Oh my
like that.
gosh.
Obviously,
Hanging a flag caused violence. How about flags running the streets causing violence? That's what I think is the true culprit of violence. And then also, obviously, blacks. Duh.
you would say, like, okay, if we started hanging up Confederate flags and then more violence ensued against like African Americans, you would say we probably shouldn't hang it, right?
So then by that metric, are you saying that if LGBTQ flags incited violence in people who were not LGBTQ, we should not hang LGBTQ flags?
Incited violence because of the flag itself.
You see how she starts to malfunction? Like she's like, cannot compute. He's using the exact same rationale that she poses to make her opinion, and all he does is simply flip it around and ask her the same question from the other side. But she literally malfunctions. She cannot compute logic whatsoever. It is so embarrassing. But like, nice blazer, girl. Yeah, you really look studious. She's got a pen in her hand. She's got her glasses on and a blazer. She is a historian. Wow. So much to learn from her. And by so much to learn, I mean learn what not to be like.
Like if it would have to be
that would be the same thing.
It would have to be a large amount of violence.
Yeah.
It would have
So
to be
as
a lot of
long as
violence.
basically what you're saying then,
Fine it.
just to make sure I
How's
got
that
your
look?
view right, what you're actually saying here is as long as people who don't like the LGBTQ flag being up go ahead and commit a bunch of violence, they should probably take the LGBTQ flag down.
There would be multiple solutions to that, but that could be one of them. Yeah, if there was, like, let's say that was the only way to get people to stop being violent, that might be an alternative. Now, that's saying that that's, like, necessary to do to stop the violence. Now, if there's other things where we can preserve, like the protection of the displaying of it for civil rights purposes, for the representation of civil rights, and at the same time lower the violence in some other way, then yeah, we should do that alternative. Do you think that's controversial?
No, but now you're just switching the position because initially what you said was this flag, if it's causing violence because it offends them so much that they can't help but become violent at the very look of it or whatever it is, whatever it is that makes them respond negatively and commit violence because of this flag. All that would actually be doing is incentivizing people who are oppositional to the LGBTQ flag to commit violence because then you would want to take that flag down, right?
We said, okay, we can display the Confederate flag and we can display the pride flags, whatever. If there started to be violence committed on one end because of the Confederate flag, I would say, like, okay, well, before we move to...
Sorry, guys, I'm speeding to 1.25 speed because she talks way too slow, okay? I have ADD. I cannot sit here listening to this without it at least being faster. We got to get to the point. I don't want to waste your time either, so I feel like you guys will appreciate that, right? And if it's too fast, just slow it down. I talk fast, way too fast anyways, so yeah.
taking the flag down, we should move to stopping the violence to whatever metric we can. Now, there might be other reasons why I think like maybe we shouldn't display Confederate.
Stopping the violence to whatever metric we can, aka giving the government full control and power to tell us what we can and cannot say, what we can and cannot do, etc., etc. She just wants to give the government so much power. She wants to censor people that she disagrees with. She needs to be deported. Maybe to Israel, maybe to India. Maybe she would honestly be a 10 in India just because there's no white women over there. I don't know. She might be too ugly for that even. She still is probably a 5 in India, but she probably has better chances at finding a simp for her, right? Yeah. Let's start a GoFundMe. We will fund your one-way ticket to India or Israel. Your choice, bitch.
Confederate flag. I think the Confederate flag in and of itself represents the negative part of the history that shouldn't be displayed as if we're proud of it. I think it represents slavery. You don't think it does?
No, it doesn't represent slavery. It represents the heritage of people who had family members who died in the war on behalf of their beliefs.
And their
most-
beliefs were?
Well, the beliefs were to their state. It was being loyal to their state. Most Confederate soldiers didn't have any views on slavery, really, one way or the other. This was the higher-ups who had views like this. So the average...
Also, I'm sorry. Let's just assume she's correct. Are people not allowed to be in favor of slavery? Listen, I'm not in favor of slavery, and we don't have slavery in America anymore. But are they not allowed to have a flag hanging on their property that might signify their pro-slavery? You know what I mean? Like, even if that was why people hung the Confederate flags up, even if that's true, aren't they allowed to have their own ideas? Aren't they allowed to think what they want as long as they're not infringing on other people's rights? Having a flag up does not infringe on your rights, you freaking stupid woke idiot. Seriously. It's like, how do parents... Like, this is honestly a major fault of parents for raising such a weak snowflake generation. My parents, if I ever was upset about anything, like, oh, well, girls were mean to you in school, why are you upset about it? What? No, you cannot let flags and words offend you so much and trigger you. Gosh, it's like, what are you going to do when an actual tragedy happens to you? Like, seriously, how will you survive actual hardship? Let me know. Anyways, I think that's it for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, comment an orange heart, orange like my shirt and skin, helps boost the video in the algorithm. And I will, of course, link Andrew Wilson and his amazing wife's YouTube channels down below. Make sure you subscribe, and I'm sure you guys already do. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.